Hello, my name is Andy and I am the village idiot, and a man with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. Welcome back to North Lincolnshire, and I'm stood on the banks of the River Trent on the eastern side of the Trent, and here I can see quite a few landmarks which don't fall within this one, but you can see from this parish, including Kidby Bridge over there. We're about to take a walk down this very icy riverbank path in the parish of Burringham. Burringham is a village and civil parish in North Lincolnshire, situated on the B1450 on the eastern bank of the River Trent. We are approximately 1 mile south of Gunness, and keep that in mind for later, as Gunness and Burringham share a few connections, one of which we'll see later on. The population of the civil parish at the 2011 census was 737. The village is a beautiful riverside community, which in my opinion is one of North Lincolnshire's hidden gems. It's quiet and peaceful for the most part, and it's full of lovely old and new properties, some of which have a long history. There are approximately 300 properties in the village. Burringham's Old Hall is one of those. It's still inhabited and is situated on the high street. The main village lines the bank of the Trent, and to the east it's a vast swathe of open flat fields between it and the M181, which forms the parish boundary with Ashby Parkland. Burringham Parish Council is made up of 6 members and holds its meetings in Burringham Village Hall. The parish council usually meet at 6 PM on the 3rd or 4th Thursday of each month. It's really cold, but the sun's out and it's really nice at the moment because the sunlight is showing Burringham in a very, very nice light, if you'll excuse the pun. When the sun gets up and it hits the side of houses like these, it just makes them sort of shine. And that's the great thing about villages like Burringham. That's what you want to see. You want to see them at their best, and I think the sun does a good job, a really good job of doing just that. The village used to be a township in Bottesford parish and covered at that time some 2,120 acres. Brickmaking was one of the main industries here. It ranked formerly as a chapelry under the vicarage of Bottesford, but was declared a rectory in 1866 in the Diocese of Lincoln. It was united with Gunness, which at that time was called Gunhouse. As such, the village came under the title of Gunhouse cum Burringham. Burringham's claim to fame comes in the form of an ancient find. During excavation work in 1843, a bronze shield was unearthed here. The shield would have been beaten from a solid block of bronze. You'll now find it on display in the British Museum in London. From a demographic standpoint, Burringham has a population that's got a higher than average number of retired and senior citizens, much like Ashby Parkland. That figure is nowhere near, though, as high as Ashby Parkland, as it comes in here at just over 32%. The general ethnic makeup of Burringham is 98.8% white British, with only 9 people identifying as anything else in 2019. Population density for this one comes in at 144.1, with Burringham covering an area of just over 4.8 square kilometres. People of Burringham, you fill my heart with joy. Look at this. Here's a bench on this little green, remembering those who died to COVID-19 2020. You know, that's the kind of thing that I love to see. I really do love to see that, when communities pull together and do things like this. I'll tell you one thing I've noticed about Burringham. It's a nice mix of houses, isn't it? You've got some old and some new. These bungalows here look like they've been here for a fair few years. These are at the side of the park and the village hall, and then at the end of this you've got some newer builds just there. That's not the first area of new builds I've seen here either. So yeah, there's a definite mix of old and new here in this one. The average house here will cost you around £143,000 if you wanted to buy one, and if I had to recommend a village to go for this close to Scunthorpe, this would be it. There's a very strong community here, and you'll always be made to feel welcome. Burringham boasts an Anglican church designed by Samuel Sanders Teulon, dedicated to St John the Baptist. This dates from 1856. As nice as it looks, it's now redundant. It's recorded in the National Heritage List for England as a designated Grade 2 listed building and is under the care of the Church's Conservation Trust. It closed in 1983 and was declared redundant the following year. The church stands at the south end of the village on the eastern bank of the Trent, and the churchyard extension, which is over the road, contains the war graves of 2 soldiers from the Second World War. That's also where the war memorial is sited. The interior of the church is decorated in polychrome brick in red, yellow and black. The font is octagonal, and there is 19th century stained glass in the south and east windows. There were Wesleyan and Primitive Methodist chapels here too. The Primitive chapel has been demolished and the Wesleyan chapel is now residential. Holly House is a care home, part of a small group consisting of 6 homes that work together. It's a family-run business with over 20 years' experience in the caring community. It would appear Burringham no longer has a regular bus service according to this sign, although you are able to access public transport here via the Call Connect bus service, similar to those we've seen before. Burringham has no shops, but it does have a chippy. This is called the Place to Meet, and it's directly behind that bus stop. The old red phone box here is a pretty busy book exchange, and this is always good to see. You know if these things are full, the community spirit is strong. Speaking of community, here's Burringham's Village Hall, and it's still fairly new. It's been here since 1996. This is a community facility for the hosting of parties, special events, meetings, and a wide range of regular activities for young and old alike. The main hall has capacity for up to 100 people. The village hall is directly in front of a huge playing field and play area which has some football pitches. Fun fact, Burringham's football club is shared with Gunness, much like many other things. We'll see where they play next week. There's a decent sized hard surface play area too, as well as a raft of play equipment for the younger ones. Burringham also has a garage. This is Trent View Auto Services. Whilst I don't know exactly what this next thing was all about, this building was interesting too. This says on the doors, if you can't read it, Historic Motor and Sale. My research told me it's registered under museums, and there's a link provided below. I am totally sure about Burringham's public house and restaurant though. This is the TakeAGander, and it's on the high street. This has lots of old world charm with 2 real fires and lots of wood panelling, beams and horse brasses. The landmark section today begins with the War Memorial. As mentioned earlier, you'll find this across the road from the church. How nice did this look in the morning sunlight? I originally thought this was the aforementioned Wesleyan Chapel, however my research tells me this is a temperance hall. It's so helpful when properties tell you what they used to be. This white house here, I'll just wait for this motorbike. That's sport the peace and quiet. This white house here is the old butcher's shop. This boat sits on a green area between the road and the bank of the river. It says the word ferry on it in the bottom right hand corner, likely in honour of the former ferry that used to cross the Trent here. Speaking of the Trent, as far as natural landmarks go, you can't ignore it. The Trent makes the village what it is, and the best bit about it here is this concrete path you can use to walk along the bank, although beware of those spring-loaded gates. Ow! Ah! 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 I just caught my heel on the back of the gate as it went to shut. Do you know what? People sometimes appreciate my humour. I'll leave that in the video. There was a ferry that ran over these waters to Althorpe, which can be seen across the river here. Whilst I couldn't be sure when it dates from, I found a picture of the old ferry. Stick around for the picture bit to see what it looked like. So this is a beautiful view across the River Trent. People criticise the Trent. They always say, I come from Saxilby, as you know, and I went to school in Gainsborough, and people always seem to criticise the Trent for being mucky. It's always got shopping trolleys floating in it and things like that. Well, it might be like that at some points downstream, but you know, and on a morning like this, it actually looks really, really nice. And you know, with the sun on it and the view across to Kidby and across to Althorpe as well, with the sun shining on Althorpe's church there, it's absolutely fantastic. It's breathtaking, I think, on a day like today. You must be really proud, Burringham residents, to live where you do. The Trent is a tidal river, and as such, Burringham is one of those villages which benefits the most from advanced flood warnings. River levels are monitored at nearby Kidby and a little further downstream at Amcotts. Flood defences are planned here. In fact, North Lincolnshire Council plan to install 2.2 miles of sheet piles along the eastern bank of the river from Kidby Bridge all the way down to the M180, protecting Burringham, Gunness and East Butterwick. So the path continues to the south. I don't know how long it stretches for. It may even go to the next parish down, which I've forgotten which one that is actually. Never mind. East Butterwick, I think it is. Anyway, we're not quite done here because we need to now move on to the border with Gunness, because there's something else we haven't seen yet. Where we are now is the very northern edge of Burringham, where the boundary touches Gunness. At this boundary is where you'll find the village primary school, halfway between Gunness and Burringham, yet another feature of the village that's shared with its neighbour. There used to be a railway station here which was called, you guessed it, Gunness and Burringham. Originally just called Gunness, it was later suffixed to become Gunness and Burringham. Trains today still pass through this area, but they call at the nearby Althorpe station, which is over Kidby Bridge. Gunness and Burringham station was opened by the Trent, Ancombe and Grimsby Railway and was situated on a short branch from the main line. Kidby Bridge is just yards away, but look closely and you'll see the remains of an old bridge here. The first railway bridge to cross the Trent was opened in 1864, erected by Messrs Fairburns of Leeds. It was a swing bridge, and it was demolished a few years after the new bridge was built. The old abutments are still visible on either side of the Trent. Okay, it's time for Burringham's picture bits, and here it comes right now. Okay, that's pretty much it for the parish of Burringham, and together with Ashby Parkland that you will have seen last week, those two were the easy two that I was attempting this morning. My next two are going to be so much more difficult. I need to go underneath the railway line to the other side of Kidby Bridge now to attempt the next two, and yeah, there's a lot in both of them, so the next two North Lincolnshire episodes you're going to see are going to be quite lengthy. Anyway, this has been the parish of Burringham, and I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot, and I'm out.